gotten a little bit back in the news for some hot water they got into helping finance a certain movie, robbing a Malaysian development fund. And now they're going and garnishing some executives' payments and from both former and current executives, as well as agreeing to pay nearly a $3 billion fine to in the probe of the 1MDB scandal. So quick take, first thoughts, go.
2 words. Not good.
Wow. Astute analysis there.
I mean, it's pretty simple on this one, man. I don't know what you want to say. What is it, Joe? Is it Lau or Low?
Jolo. Jolo.
Good. Because I had a joke for that one. You say he's keeping a low profile. And I'll see my way out. All right.
Da-da,
I'm fired. I understand.
Da-da, ching. Insert drum set. But yeah, he's still on the loose, by the way. They still haven't caught him. This has been going on. They've had time to already indict, put and press charges against the former Malaysian prime minister and sentence him to 12 years of jail time for the corruption in this 1MDB scandal. And they still haven't found the guy who was blowing through millions of dollars in Vegas and all across Asia and the world, throwing lavish parties, thinking he was the real life Wolf of Wall Street, Jordan Belfort.
Yeah. So what is the tie here to Wolf of Wall Street? Like
they helped
just help finance. That's it.
Yeah.
Like
so
the movie.
they used part of the 1MDB funds, which, so for anybody that isn't familiar, the 1MDB fund was a development sovereign fund for the country of Malaysia that was set up, and Goldman, what they did is they basically took they helped raise the money for the fund, paid themselves about $600 million in fees, and then all the money was put into, we'll call it dubious things, such as helping finance the Wolf of Wall Street movie.
So, okay. So what are they doing to counteract this? Are they doing some charity work like JP Morgan, all of them were doing, or are they
no
even better?
No, nothing. No new female CEO and no carbon, eliminating carbon like JP Morgan is doing. Yeah, they just have agreed to pay $3 billion, and that way they get the criminal charge off their back from the Department of Justice. This has been going on for a while. This has been going on for years. So it just has finally come to an end. And 2 U.S. bankers at Goldman were charged, and the former CEO Blankfein is who they're also going and trying to get part of his bonuses back to help pay the 174 mil just of executive compensation that they're taking out to help pay this $3 billion in fines.
It's a small dent. It's a crazy amount, but
yeah, this $3 billion fine on top of the other roughly $2 billion in fines they've already paid for this, because this has already been settled, with Malaysia, the country of Malaysia, as well as elsewhere.
Right.
And then we're just now wrapping up the U.S. portion of this not so great global vacation of the one.
Maybe homeboy jumped on a Malaysian flight and disappeared forever. Maybe like intentionally this time.
What do we think? If you had to guess right now, what would Joe Low be doing? What's Joe Low doing in COVID times?
Oh, he's been Mai Tais on some private beach somewhere that they can't find him.
You think it's the Kim Kardashian beach? You think he was an invited guest there?
No, absolutely not. He might have been an invited guest, but he's not showing up if he's smart. or he's in costume. Maybe he'll show up on Halloween in costume and no one will recognize him. He'll show him as Jordan Belfort.
I think that'd be the one costume that everybody would recognize him in.
Yeah.
He looks also nothing like Jordan Belfort. He's a little heavier.
Okay. And probably not Australian.
Jordan Belfort Australian? Jordan Belfort's not
Australian. No. I'm thinking of someone else. No, but he was residing in Australia after all that bullshit went on.
That's a good moniker. Bullshit.
Oh man, yeah, Joe Low, you got some explaining to do. I'll decline him. I just want to see what his reaction is. Someone that's tied to Wolf of Wall Street plays some hot takes. Maybe he'll make a movie of his escape.
Honestly, let's be real. They're going to make a movie of this. We got the documentaries. It's already been in Dirty Money on Netflix.
So
We gotta have the feature film though, and it's got to rival Wolf of Wall Street. So I don't think the story is complete until we see that. Who would we think is going to play Jolo though? That's the real question.
Oh man, you said he's heavy set. I need to take a look at this guy.
I'm gonna Google him real quick. My guess is, or my I guess not prediction. My wish would be Psy from Gangnam Style would be a good Jolo.
Oh hell yeah! Who's God? Who's the guy in Heroes? The Korean guy. I didn't watch it either, but he's like, I don't know, he's just like a very like just normal dude. Like he's very like down to earth, but like I feel like those normal guys could just play total like skis bags very well. So I think he'd be a good choice. Speaking of scandals and stuff, did you see the Firefest guy? God, what is his name?
Billy McFarland
is doing podcasts out of prison.
I know, and he probably is more successful than we are.
Stop it. Yes. He's still like $26 million in debt or something like that. But maybe Joe Lowe's got a plan. He'll chill for a little while, get caught intentionally, go to prison, and monetize it. That's the move right now. Apparently, it's the popular move.
Jolo, a true crime story. Dun 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 dun. However the serial music goes.
Yeah. I think we wasted enough time on Jolo and
Jolo doesn't live in our brains rent free. So
no, he definitely charges.
He charges and spends it on blow and parties.
Oh God.
Allegedly. Actually, not allegedly. That is all over.
Oh yeah, you're right. If he's already convicted, like it's over. Just gotta find the man.
Woo! We can't be sued for that. We think. If somebody wants to tell us differently, please let us know so we don't get sued. But yeah, that wraps up. I think I don't know. What do we think before we wrap up? What do we think about the bank going forward? Are they done with this scandal? Or can they move on to whatever the hell else is coming down the road for Goldman?
I think so. I think this gets swept under the rug a little bit, just with all the stuff that's going on in 2020. I mean, this is the least of people's worries. No one's paying attention to it really in the grand scheme of things. I'm sure they'll have many more issues that, deal with financials other than, Jolo getting out there.
Yeah, I would also imagine
they're paying the $3 billion.
They paid the $3 billion. I would also imagine that the stockholders and investors of Goldman probably are more focused on their trading desk revenues rather than what Jolo is up to. If anything, this actually provides certainty and allows them to price the stock in a more efficient manner. So Goldman, I think it's sitting under about 200 a share right now. And we'll see what happens with the bank going forward. I think we're in for a lot of uncertainty. We'll get some more certainty throughout November, and then be curious to see how long the trading revenues last, because Goldman is in the middle of a sort of transformation, just like Morgan Stanley is. They're pivoting more to the consumer side of business. They're trying to get out of the less volatile only business model. I think that wraps up old Goldman. All right, so let's dive into the small story of the largest IPO in history. Ant Financial just went public in both a dual listing in Shanghai and Hong Kong, and it's already oversubscribed in Hong Kong, and they had to close the book on it. Justin, what do you think about this, just offhand?
Man, I'm not gonna lie to you. I have no idea what this is, and
at some
it seems
point,
like a big deal.
You're gonna have to show up like at least 20% prepared when we do these. All 6 of our listeners are gonna be very disappointed.
I know, right?
In your lack of preparation. Here, let me give you.
I'll pull my card. Yeah,
I'll give you the TLD.
Explain to me like I'm a 5-year-old.
You are a 5-year-old.
I'm a 5-year-old.
So Ant Financial is the payments arm of Alibaba, basically, is the easiest 5-year-old way to put it, uh, but they're set to raise just under 35 billion in this IPO and have a market cap of roughly hovering around 320 billion in total. So a tiny company. But Jack Ma, who is the founder of Alibaba, is also one of the founders of Ant Financial and has just under 9% stake in Ant Financial, and this now is going to raise him up to the 11th richest person in the world. So it's a pretty big day for him, just he resigns from Alibaba. He just, it was his time to leave, and then he goes and has a small part in Ant Financial and makes it the biggest IPO in human history. So yeah, just for context, what do you think? What do you think 320 billion market cap places Ant Financial around in terms of a comparative, not necessarily a competitor, but just a comparative financial institution? And then I'm going to ask you to guess which country's GDP 320 billion matches.
Oh man. Uh, what company is it compared to for cap? Shit. I'm gonna go like Apple, something like that.
Apple's worth
Am I,
$2 trillion. Try again.
I yeah, not even close. I don't know. You tell me. I'm done guessing on that one.
This
I'll
isn't
guess
even
the
worth a quarter of an apple. No, but it is only worth 3 billion less than JP Morgan. Been around 100+ year bank, JP Morgan shows. So if you need, if that needed to put it into perspective of how big this company is, it's a lot of Americans have never heard of it, you included, because you don't show up prepared. Uh, is that we don't, just because we've never heard of it doesn't mean that A, it's not massive, B, it's not intertwined into Chinese society. It's not just payments, it's involved in everything. It's like a WeChat almost, in terms of its reach into just everyday Chinese life. But yeah, so okay, now you failed on the comparison. Now, what country in terms of GDP do you think its market capitalization close
Oh
to?
shoot. Um, let's
Like
go
you could,
Greenland. I'm gonna guess some really obscure country.
Greenland has like 4 cows and 2 people as its GDP, and you think that it's worth $320 billion.
It's still a whole country. I mean, yeah,
It's a big
absolutely.
block of ice. The Vikings named it the opposite so people
Hey,
wouldn't
you can
go there.
sell ice. Didn't you watch Frozen?
Actually, no, because I don't have children
Oh.
yet. I know I need to. I
Hmm.
need to. But anyway, beside the point, keep guessing countries. You are close in the semi-Nordic region, though.
Ooh, I feel like Sweden's not. It's too big. I'm gonna go Finland.
I'm actually very impressed you got that right, considering we did no prep for this. It is actually Finland. I'm not even kidding.
Hey, what do you
Yeah.
know? What do I
Yeah.
get?
You get nothing. Absolutely nothing. But yeah,
Not be fired. Okay, cool.
so Finland's, gross domestic product is worth one Ant Financial. that's
Oh my
that's
god.
I know. That's the scale we're talking about here. I mean, hey, Apple is worth entire Australia. Do you know that?
Nope.
Yep, two
Did not.
trillion is roughly the Australian GDP. Um, but I digress. So yeah, the difference is that obviously Ant Financial operates in China. It's has friendly relations with the Communist Party of China. Um, so they do have less regulation and things, and that's going to come into play in terms of now that it's becoming a long-term investment for people. It's also going to be forced to be putting more of its balance sheet to work. That way, it's not facing a cap on the rates that it charges for the money it lends out. But yeah, I still think this is a underreported story, even though it's been widely reported in business news. I think people our age are likely to see this one, not pay attention to it, or just completely miss it entirely. Going and seeing what Kim Kardashian did on her private island, for instance. So,
Hey, shh. Spoiler alert. I haven't read that article yet. So Hey, what does this mean for us? I guess not only just for the U.S. like markets, but for people like us, people our age.
So for nothing immediate, I think for at least the US, like people that are our age, we've got our Venmos and our Cash Apps at the moment. That's kind of what we've got. Um, for people that are of Chinese descent, that have people that have family that live in China, I think it's big that this is now public. And they're gonna have to look for ways to grow, and eventually, just like WeChat, Alibaba, they will have to leave China and start globally expanding, just like how Amazon had to leave the US and try to dominate the whole world. Um, the Chinese companies are going to have to do the same, but in their version of it.
Try implies you haven't done it.
Yeah, but this is also going to be accessible to U.S. investors that can go and get shares through the Hong Kong exchange. Say like maybe through the if a Chinese focus ETF goes and gets shares, you could be able to invest in that, for instance. I think that's the more immediate changes that we see coming. Long term, you know, China's not going anywhere. At some point, we're gonna have to figure out how to live with them. If we don't do that, we're gonna get into an armed conflict, and we don't want to do that. So, um, I don't think it's the last we'll see of Ant Financial, and we'll see how it integrates into, if at all, into our lives going forward. May not be immediate, but 20 years down the road, who knows? I was promised flying cars by Elon by then, right?
At least.
I think we need to just try to get the ones that drive themselves first before we
I
strap on
think by
rivals
then
to
they'll just run on our souls, but that's okay.
it. Cool. But yeah, that's it for Ant. All right. So let's dive into a story closer to home. Dunkin' Donuts is being sold.
Duckies.
It's being sold. You hear that? And I'm going to stop my horrendous fake Northeastern accent.
God, that was bad.
I know. It's supposed to be bad, because I'm wicked smart. But
Make it smart.
yeah, we had to throw that in. So yeah, Dunkin' Donuts is currently been reported that it's in talks to sell itself to a PE, private equity backed company called Inspire Brands. So Inspire currently owns chains like Arby's, B Dubs, Sonic, and Jimmy John's. So what do we quick reaction? What do we think of them adding Dunkin' to the old portfolio? They're considering that they already have the meats, the wings, the two guys sitting in the convertible outside the Sonic, and Freaky Fast Delivery with Jimmy John's.
What do we always say? Diversify your portfolio. Yeah, you gotta get coffee in there too, and
They're just
I think
adding breakfast. They just want to be able to go. The managers at Inspire just want to be able to go and get free food at every single meal for every location that they have.
I mean, it's genius. It's passive income there, right? That's what that means.
Yeah, I don't know.
Indirectly, no. I mean, it's interesting. I mean, they're just trying to take hold of the I guess fast food business. I don't know. Just have a entity in each. I think they just probably fit the profile of what they're looking for business wise. I read too that there's really no certainty that agreements can be made, but I mean,
Yeah,
everything but official, right?
it's just in talks. It's reports on it. What I thought was interesting was that this would be the restaurant industry's biggest sale since the 2014 sale of Tim Hortons to Burger King, which I even forgot that Tim Hortons was even owned by Burger King, mainly
No
because
idea.
none of it were as far from Canada as you can almost possibly get and still be in the U.S. Um, but I also thought it was interesting that Inspire Brands is paying about a 20% premium over Dunkin's current stock price. In their stock price
Yeah.
is at all-time highs at the moment. Um, so that deal would value Dunkin at nearly $9 billion, like we said. So that
What were they before? Do you know?
I don't know what they were before, but I know that it's roughly about 26 times earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, everything. It actually makes it more of an expensive sale than what Krispy Kreme was to their now German owner.
Wow.
So 26 times that it is pricey, and they're like that leads to the 20% premium overpay. What do you think about the fact they're paying a premium in the middle of a pandemic where sales were down 19% last quarter? You know,
It doesn't make much sense to me, but they must know something that the public doesn't, or at least people like us don't.
do we
That
think
they
maybe
see.
they're paying a premium to make sure that they're acquiring the brand? Because like Dunkin's run on a franchise model, just like the rest of their portfolio of restaurants is. So my
For
guess is
sure.
that they want the brand, if anything, and they want all the current locations, and that's where they can go and start branching out because Dunkin's relatively just in the Northeast, right?
It is. We don't have many here. I think there's one in the entire Austin area,
That
that I know of, at least, that I've looked up. But yeah, they really dominate the whole Northeast, New England area. That's why you started with the Boston accent. I mean, they love their donkeys.
down by the
They
harbor.
even, yeah, it dominates over Starbucks and stuff like that there. So they probably have a long-term plan for this, on what they're going to do with those storefronts, or maybe change the brand. I don't know, or just expand on whatever it is that they're doing right, that I think people in Texas maybe not super aware of. Um,
I think
but
a
yeah,
lot of people
I
are
think,
aware of Dunkin'. I think a lot of people are, at least down here, are aware of Dunkin'.
I mean, just aware of like how well they do business and how popular they are. I think, yeah, we know what Dunkin' is. I mean, you see them at the store all the time, selling their coffee,
Yeah,
coffee
we
grounds and
also
stuff.
we saw them do their partnership with Snoop Dogg and Beyond Meat too. They were one of the first to hop on the
Yeah.
Beyond Meat train with one of their breakfast sandwiches. I like it when I do see a Dunkin' as just a change up from the old S Bucks from the Starbucks. That's how I view it. Whenever I get a chance to, I don't think I've ever eaten at one, but just to get coffee from.
Yeah, their
That's how I
coffee's
see
good.
it. And then the Financial Times also said that they were looking at going into the Midwest and West Coast specifically, with using having being a part of Inspire Brands. They were going to use their expertise and help to do that. So it's not just may not necessarily come down here anytime soon, but they're looking to go national. Uh, so more so
Right.
than they already are.
And like, with their sales down 19% in quarter two, like that, I know that sounds bad, but
Everybody's
really, if
down,
you
you
think
know.
about it, no, if you think about it, that's not a lot at all, especially for a coffee shop where people use that on their commute
Yep.
to work when
When
they're not
commutes don't
commuting,
exist.
and they're
Yeah.
still getting donkeys. Like, that's pretty impressive. And I know down 19% as a red flag normally, but in this case, it's probably a good sign. People have an addiction to it, and they like it. It's part of their daily routine, and they probably looking to capitalize on that and maybe expand in a certain way that they have a plan.
Yeah. So back in the like heart of the pandemic after Starbucks, I mean, I guess we're still in it, but a few months in, we'll say, Starbucks, when they started to reopen more, people used Starbucks was not, like you just said, a daily commute activity, not just part of the day. It became an event during the day. Hey, let's go to
Yes.
Starbucks because we're bored and have nothing else to do, and we can go and we want to go just to go. And I think Dunkin' Donuts probably benefited from the same, event sharing, I guess we'll call it.
Do I wonder if Dunkin' Donuts has drive-throughs across their?
Oh, I'm sure.
Well, they may not. Starbucks has just recently converted most, if not all, of their stuff to drive-throughs. So maybe that's the plan, to convert that. And they have the capital to start that. It's a big venture to do it. Um, I know, like, one of our projects at school was to design a Starbucks that had a drive-through in College Station, which is kind of interesting. It was right when they were starting to convert a lot of them. So
Yeah. They're not going to do well in the Midwest, West Coast, or here if they don't have drive-throughs, though. a little
exactly, yeah.
little different from the Northeast. We actually all have vehicles here, and I don't see that slowing down, no pun intended, with the escalating sales of automobiles, across the US as we've seen Corona rage on.
All right. Well, look forward to see if they actually do, make this deal. I assume they will. It seems to make sense. They really poured a lot into it. I think it's everything but official so far.
Yeah. We'll see what all happens with old Duncan then.
Yeah.
All right, so let's wrap up talking about the recent Robinhood thefts, which is ironic to say just on offhand, considering that this was not the poor stealing from the rich, but hackers stealing from the quote unquote poor, aka Robinhood investors, most likely to be younger and have less capital, like both of us. Except I don't have Robinhood anymore. So, Justin, you are the Robinhood user. Can you give us a little rundown quickly of what happened, and then we'll dive into what we think about that going forward, and what this means for Robinhood as a whole.
Sure. Yeah, there were a significant amount of hacks. I think around 2,000 is what they estimated.
Yes, 2000.
And they blamed it on password security of all these accounts getting hacked. And so, as me, a Robinhood investor, shortly after this news broke, Robinhood happened to email every single one of its users and say, "Hey, would you like to participate in dual authentication of logging in?" I haven't even like really looked into what that entails. I just use
Here,
Face ID.
I can tell you real quick what that entails because I do it 1,800 times a day at work. It means you get the text code, and you always have to
Oh,
put it in. And
every single time you log in?
I don't know about every single time, but it claims it's always good for 15 days. Then it's good for maybe about 1.5 days before it makes you do it again.
Okay.
So it's one
Okay.
of those. So keep
I,
keep it rolling though.
I use the Face ID and it's fine for me. It's enough security where it's annoying to have to do every time, but like I kind of like that it's annoying like that because it is my finances. It's a significant amount of what I own. Um, yeah, so I mean, obviously it's reactive to them getting hacked, and 2,000, I guess, isn't a lot in the grand scheme of things, but like that's enough to cause a really big concern.
Especially when that's like that could be and probably was life savings of these people.
Oh, for sure. You get one person that gets, hacked. It's that person is just screwed for who knows how long, unless Robinhood makes it right. And I am curious to see how they are able to react to these 2,000 people if they do get cleaned out or whatever happened to them. Do you know
I
what
don't
their
know.
settlement is, or they're just in the middle of a settlement to try to figure out what to do?
So I don't know on that, and they may not make that public because they are, these are private dealings. They're not going to announce like obviously what they had, what they end up doing. Um, the biggest reason though of why so many of these accounts all these 2,000 accounts got cleaned out is Robinhood doesn't have a contact phone line, and people, including myself and you, all didn't realize this until it was too late for these 2,000 people. We just have
Right.
to like I don't have any money in Robinhood anymore, but I still have the app. So I could have been susceptible to this. You were susceptible to this, and there would have been no way for us to get in contact with anybody at Robinhood to say, "Hey, I'm not placing these trades. Somebody has sold all my positions and is now transferring the money from those positions out, and now I've had my money stolen, all because you don't have a 1-800 number."
Right. They don't. Yeah, their immediate contact is lacking for sure. But I do know when you email them, they are really good about getting back within 3 days, which is something.
Something, but not
And then
great for an emergency.
you're right. And then unless you have gold, I think all of the transfers to your bank account take 3 to 5 business days. So there is a delay on all this stuff for the smaller users. But for the big boys, I mean, if those were included in there, I mean, those can be pretty immediate because they have that level of trust. They can go from bank account to account really quickly. And when I say big boys, I mean it's really not. It's only 25,000 is the threshold to get into their gold status to get to that quick transfer and day trading stuff. So I mean this can really affect a lot of people in a big way, like you said. Um,
So
so
what do you think what do you think this means for Robinhood going forward before I dive in on it?
what do I think? I mean, I think it really well for users at least. I think it really challenges the trust, honestly. Like for people like me that have been thinking about making the switch over to a more, well, I say more legitimized, but longer backed account that now does not charge, fees per trade. It really is pushing me a little bit harder to make that switch faster, for the end of the year for sure. I would think a lot of other people will follow suit too, since Robinhood is still fairly new, and as investors get more and more, well versed, they're going to want to switch over to, Charles Schwab or Fidelity or whatever it may be. I'm going to be one of those people.
Yeah. So, true. Do you agree or disagree with this statement? Robinhood is the Facebook of individual brokerage accounts.
Hmm. Facebook.
I'll
I
say,
don't
and I'll
know.
tell you my reasoning of why, but I want to see if you agree or disagree first.
I would say I would disagree just because Facebook's been around for a long time and they kind of have an established hold over, how their stuff works. Now, for ability to hack in and that everyone kind of uses it and isn't maybe as socially aware as people on like Twitter and Instagram, then I would agree with you if that's where you're going with this.
So here's where I'm going with this. E-Trade was having the same moment that Robinhood is currently have back in the 98, 99, 2000 tech bubble. A lot of individual accounts were opened. A lot of people started throwing money in the market, a lot of quote unquote dumb money, and individual new retail investors didn't know what they were doing. That is the MySpace. It's the first thing there. It's not the most popular in the end. And then along comes Facebook, which does similarly the same thing, but takes off on a more even massive scale. And that's what we're seeing happen with Robinhood in terms of net new accounts and that have been opened, money that's flowing in, and also the coolness and pop culture relevance. To me, it seems a lot like early Facebook, and that's why I make that connection to it. As well as they also they want to democratize finance. I agree with that thesis 100%. The problem is they also took the Facebook thesis of move fast and break things,
Right.
and then people get hurt when that happens, when not everything is thought through. We saw the poor 20-year-old kid that committed suicide because he thought he had lost 700 grand earlier this year, when that was not even the case, because Robinhood does not offer any sort of uh, educational resources or barriers other than, like you mentioned, the 25 grand to stop people from day trading. But what's that based on? Just that you can absorb the losses if you are making those types of risky and speculative bets, because that's what they most likely are doing in terms if you are day trading. uh, so the lack of educational resources, the lack of safeguards, this is not it's serious stuff. Like you said, it's people's life savings, and it's causing people to move to a more, as you said, legitimate slash serious brokerage account, which is what I did. When was that? A couple 6 months ago, roughly that.
Yeah.
I moved specifically for the reason of I loved Robinhood's UI. I love the user experience. I love the instant transfer of cash and not having to wait anything from bank account to brokerage account because I had Robinhood Gold. But there were just the lack of functionalities, the lack of resources, and educational tools that caused me to move in the end. So that's my thesis on that. Thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, this is serious stuff. I think Robinhood either made the assumption or just ignored, that people just may not have the education required to kind of run this stuff, and it's extremely accessible. It's a push of a button. Like you said, the user interface for people that know what they're doing is great because it's so fast and easy and simple to use, all their tools. But at the same time, when you don't know what you're doing, those 1-2 clicks of a button to make a trade can be really scary, especially in times like this where the market is so volatile and people can just lose out their ass. I mean, and then pile on top that people got hacked, and can
Yeah,
be
they
really
got hacked,
dangerous.
and then Robinhood blamed them because their passwords might have been too easy to guess. It's like, how are your safeguards not better? You got to do better. If you've now become the number one most popular app, which to be sticky with this new wave of clientele, so they don't leave you for an E-Trade, a Charles Schwab, a TD Ameritrade. You have to be able to A, safeguard their money, B, safeguard their data and passwords.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, they were quick to market. They were very successful in how they operated. But that came with these issues. I think maybe they saw it coming, maybe they didn't, and couldn't act fast enough. Because now, if you have the app, they have, before you make like any kind of options trade, they show you what each one really means and kind of have some graphics that help explain it and educate. And I think now when you sign up for an account, there's a lot of language on, like, not legal language anymore. I mean, there's still legal language that's ridiculous, but it stops making you scroll through each of the pages saying, know what you're doing, know what each kind of trade is. It's just basically reiterating, this is real money. Know what you're trading in. It's very easy to trade. That is great and the problem at the same time. So they're aware now, but like I said, it's reactive. And I think them getting exposed is probably good in the long run, but right now they're going to be taking a huge hit. And I think we can probably rule out Ackman buying Robinhood with his SPAC.
He has shorted Herbalife before. Don't ever rule anything out with him.
Maybe he can revitalize it and get some more trust in the company if he does.
Yeah, hopefully they do take this as an opportunity to expand their support line, and then also look at other ways that they can proactively, not reactively, safeguard their customers and also do a better job of educating them while continuing to grow and allowing more people of all different race, genders, ethnicities, identities to be able to access the stock market, which is one of the best wealth generating vehicles we have in this life. So
I mean, yeah, I'll give them some credit. They started a wave, me included. I mean, it made it so easy. I probably done it anyway, but I think it made it that much easier and that much quicker to get started. And then they have done a really good job of their reactions to this stuff. I think they have really implemented some really good tools into the system. But like you said, it's reactive. They need to be more proactive and kind of get ahead of this stuff before it comes up, and so they can kind of back themselves up and make them more legitimate. But I think they're on their way. I really do think Robinhood has a good team. I mean, they had a great idea. Now they just need to implement it the right way.
Yep. Keep the ease of and good user interface, user experience, but bolster the back end, and and just help customers try to be smarter with their investments and their data and protect those investments at the same time.
Yeah, it probably will offer some educational, videos and systems that maybe weren't available before, make it more available for people or more accessible to people not available.
Yep. And if they still go and buy a ton of Hertz stock while it's bankrupt, that's their fault.
Exactly. Yeah. Which,
Don't buy
that's FinTalk people influencing their decisions. I think
yeah.
At that point, that's not Robinhood's fault. That's them listening to people who don't know what they're talking about.
Exactly.
Not saying we do, but we're not recommending any stocks here. So
never ever. But yeah, we will see what happens with the old green feather going forward.
Just shows be financially literate, guys.
Yep, be financially literate.
Listen to us for literacy, not recommendations.
And make sure you listen to us next week, because the Mandalorian is making an appearance on the podcast. No, not the actual Mandalorian himself, but we will be discussing the Mandalorian's launch and what that means for Disney Plus going forward. Everybody, thanks for listening today. Make sure you've done the listen. Now you got to do the subscribe. Then you got to do the review, and you got to do the rating. Got to do all of them. Can't just stop short.
And share.
Always be sharing. Always be sharing. But yeah, and we will see y'all next time.
This is the way.
This is the way.